At CES 2018, Cooler Master introduced us to the new MasterBox Q300P, and since then, it's been one of our most requested cases to review. But is it going to live up to your guys' hype? What's up everyone, Jeff here with Modders Inc., and last month we got a sneak peek at the new MasterBox Q300P from Cooler Master, and it's finally landed on my desk for review. The Q300P supports ITX and micro-ATX motherboards in its mini-tower frame. Part of the appeal of the MasterBox line is the modularity of the components, and the Q300P has certainly continued that trend. The front I/O panel seen here can be moved to either the top or the bottom of the case by rotating the acrylic panel. You can also move this panel to the other side of the case by swapping the steel and the acrylic panels. The case can also be laid flat as a desktop rather than standing as a tower thanks to the rubber feet on the backside. Out of the box, the Q300P comes with a manual, an assortment of screws and standoffs and zip ties. Oh, and an Rgb controller for the included twin 120mm fans at the front of the case, as well as the Rgb light bar. The power supply sits at the bottom of the Q300P with its own filtered intake, and in a nice space-saving design is set in from the back of the case. Installation is very straightforward here and gives the rear of the case a very clean look. Taking a quick walk through the features, we've got support for two 2.5-inch drives near the front, with a single 3.5-inch drive mount on the back side of the motherboard tray. There's also support for an additional pair of 120mm or 140mm fans on the top. Thanks to the wide open design on the inside, you can fit up to a 240mm radiator on the front in a push-pull configuration, as well as a single 120mm radiator with a single fan on the rear. There's also a slew of removable fan filters on this case, one at the bottom, one at the top, and an additional pair on the front and back of the acrylic top panel. Getting everything installed in the Q300P is very simple. There's plenty of room, all the components fit well, there's no sharp edges, but where I'm really impressed by this case is the cable management. There's ample room behind the motherboard to route and tie off cables, and the back panel mounts clean and flush when everything is installed. That trend continues in the main case, with cutouts everywhere to route cables. CPU power, audio headers, 24-pin. It seems like every single detail of this case was thought of. So that all sounds great, but what are the downsides? Well, with every panel on this being acrylic, the Q300P has a little bit of a static problem, attracting every particle of dust in my studio in just 24 hours. Cleaning it with a microfiber cloth also resulted in some light scratches already on this case. If you don't mind a little character, you're not going to mind this too much, but for some people they want to keep it looking clean and crisp throughout its life, this is going to show some wear pretty quickly. The Rgb controller could also use some documentation, as well as all the required bits to actually use it. The manual doesn't even list the controller as included with this case, and while getting power connected is simple enough, there's no included button to actually cycle the RGB colors and modes. I wound up repurposing the reset button from the front I/O panel. If you have an RGB header on your motherboard, you won't be needing the controller anyway, but if you're building with an older board like I did here, it's going to take some finagling to actually make it work right. Even with these minor issues considered, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better combination of build quality, looks, and ease of build than the MasterBox Q300P. And at $69, it's going to make a lot of budget builders very happy. So did the Q300P live up to your expectations? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future reviews or builds, and be sure to check out our new podcast, Modders Think, happening every Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern. If you have any shopping to do, head on over to our Amazon store down in the video description. Thank you everyone for watching this one, and as always, we'll see you next time.